There's one young man who came up to the prison once. One punch. Just one. Bap! Because he couldn't take it anymore. Punched the guy out. Guy fell and hit the back of his head. He had to be airlifted overseas because he had a traumatic brain injury. You call it a TBI. Started having seizures after that. So for the past 11 years, that young man has been waiting for a court date. In and out of court, out of school.
This feature is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park, and Digicel. Sign up for Digicel Plus Home Light bundles, faster internet, movies, and sports. He sees it on a daily basis. He works with them as much as he possibly can on a number of things to help them be better men when back in society. He is Mr. Walter Barrett. The them I refer to are inmates at His Majesty's prison, Balsam Gut, Tortola. For Barrett, much can be done to prevent our young men from getting into the prison system if, among other things, they learn the art of conflict resolution. So it was not a hard decision to agree to speak on that very topic with a room filled with young men. It was the Lions Club of Tortola's Young Men's Summit, held in collaboration with the organization MAIL, mentoring anointed leaders everywhere. The theme of the summit: distinguishing between a real man and a real man. And Barrett held nothing back. The sad, the scary, the danger, but most of all, the raw truth.
Solution, right? Everywhere in life, you're going to face conflict. You face conflict at home. How many of you have a brother or a sister? You all go through conflict, right? You all agree all the time? Yeah. Who agrees with their brother or their sister all the time? Put your hand up. All the time? You have a twin? I have a brother 3 years younger than me. We didn't used to agree all the time at all. I have a sister 3 years older than me. That was even worse. You don't always agree. Even with your parents, there's conflict. They ask you to do something and they want you to do it now. And you know you're doing something and you want some time. But they tell you have to get it done now, so you have to stop doing what you're doing, so you grumble a little bit. Then they get upset because you grumble. Then you have to explain that. Conflict is a part of life. And I think Minister Tittle, he spoke about that. Hey, relax. Conflict is part of life. You're going to face conflict at school. When you start working, you're gonna encounter conflict at the workplace. You're gonna encounter conflict on the basketball court, even with your own teammates, not just with the team you're playing against. You might be the one who you think should be taking the last shot. Somebody else takes the shot instead of you and they miss. Now everybody's upset. So you have to understand that wherever you are in life, you're going to face conflict. How you deal with the conflict is what makes the difference. Why is conflict resolution important? Where I work, I understand the importance of handling conflict in a good, positive way. Who knows where I work? Who said that? Yeah, I work at the prison. I'm one of the I'm one of the counselors at the prison, and I'm in charge of the rehabilitation department. So all the programs that we run and stuff, we're the ones who come up with the different programs that the inmates do. But guess what? We got a lot of young men coming into the prison now. And Mr. Tittle, he comes into the prison too to talk to a lot of them, so he knows. And the ages are getting younger and younger. There was a 14-year-old that came up to the prison last month. He's out on bail. Some of you might know him because he was in school with y'all. And they come into the prison and they're scared. And you look on their faces and you see that this isn't where they want to be. And then they end up in a cell with somebody else that they don't know. And they have to share that cell with that person. And that's something that they never expected and they never thought about. How many of you actually expect to end up in prison? Raise your hand. I see one hand, and I hope you're joking. You expect to end up in prison? I'm gonna take it that you're joking. Because that ain't somewhere that you want to be. Alright? Nobody in here wants to be there. Sharing a cell with somebody where when it's lockdown time, when that person has to use the bathroom, you have to stay inside there and smell whatever it is they ate. You can't open the cell like you could open your room door and say, okay, when you finish, I'll come back. They take your stuff. Your parents might come and drop snacks off for you. And then you go to a class or you go somewhere. When you come back, everything is gone. You can't fight them because they're bigger than you. And they have their group, they have their guys, they have their clique. So you just got to accept the fact that every time your snacks come, they're going to be taking it because you are their supplier. And one of the big things that happens when you go up to prison, especially as young men, you have a lot of friends on the street right now. But when you go up there, nobody comes to see you. Nobody visits you. Nobody passes and says you need a roll of toilet paper or some toothpaste or a toothbrush. You need a pair of boxers. Those are things that inmates need. That's gold up there. So we do things every day without thinking about the consequences. But how we handle conflict, it matters. We have guys up there right now who just made one bad decision. They were in a fight, they picked up the machete. There's a young man who's up there right now, juvenile. Said that what happened is somebody gave him some stuff to hold for them. Some guns, big guns. We call them prohibited weapons because they're semi-automatic guns, AR. He told them, hey, hold this for me. And the young man, he was a bit scared because he didn't want anything, police come and find this thing in his house. So he decided, you know what, I'm getting rid of these things. Put him on his backpack, jumped on his scooter, and he started to ride away. Before you know it, got pulled over by the police. Checked his bag, found the guns. And now he's up by the prison. It's that easy. It's that easy. Decision making. So the question is, why take the guns in the first place? Now I know that there are a lot of young men right now who are getting bullied. You're getting bullied by people in your school. You're getting bullied by people in your community. And you're scared because they're threatening your family. Like they threaten some of the families, the guys right there in the prison. But I want to encourage you, if you're getting bullied, you need to talk to somebody. You don't have to confront that person yourself, but talk to somebody. Find somebody you trust. If it's not your parents, find a police officer. If it's not a police officer, find the pastor. If it's not, find somebody and let them know what's happening to you. Because what happens is a lot of young people are getting pressured to do things that they don't want to do. And they're the ones who ended up getting in trouble. Not the people who pressuring them. These young people, like you, are ended up getting in trouble because they made a bad decision. There's one young man who came up to the prison once. One punch. Just one. Bap! Because he couldn't take it anymore. Punched the guy out. The guy fell and hit the back of his head. He had to be airlifted overseas because he had a traumatic brain injury. You call it a TBI. Started having seizures after that. So for the past 11 years, that young man has been waiting for a court date. In and out of court, out of school, everything. One decision. Some of you may have seen the video in Virgin Gorda, like Gun Creek, with a man who was standing there and another young man was just in his face, just yapping, and he couldn't take it anymore. He took a knife, stabbed him in his neck. The guy took a few steps, fell down, died. The young man who stabbed him is up at the prison now. I know him. Used to play basketball with him every afternoon in Virgin Gorda when I lived over there. Cool guy, and everybody who knows him says the same thing. He doesn't trouble anybody. He's a quiet guy. He's a cool guy. But guess what? Decision. Conflict resolution. Because instead of stabbing and hitting out, walk away. How many of you find it easy to walk away when there's conflict? Some of you think that you look like a punk if you walk away. You look like a wuss. I see in hands, yeah, I look like a punk. But there's a saying from long time, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. And that fight isn't always physical fight. It's just the fight of being alive another day. There are people who are buried today because they didn't handle conflict the right way. All of you have a purpose in your life or for your life. Every one of you. Some of you may have heard some negative things said about you, but that doesn't change the fact that there's a purpose inside of you. Every one of you is here for a reason. None of you is a mistake. People may not like you. You may not be the favorite person at school. You may not be the favorite person in your own home. But guess what? You have a purpose. God created you to do something great. And you have to understand that. And because God put something great inside you, who's God's enemy? Satan. So if God put something great inside of you, bet your bottom dollar, Satan wants to take that thing away from you. He doesn't want you to become who God created you to be. He doesn't want you to accomplish what God put you here to accomplish. So he's going to fight against your purpose. Some of you find that every single day there's conflict. Every day you have to deal with some kind of pressure. The greater the battle, the greater the purpose that is on you. Do you understand that? Let me say that again. The greater the battle, the greater the purpose that is upon you. So who would have thought from hearing Mr. Tittle's story, from the time he was 8 years old, people had their own ideas as to who he was. They just saw miserable. They just saw no good. They just saw all that stuff. But look at him now. Look at what he's accomplishing. Because there was a great purpose for him. Because his purpose included every single one of you that's in this room and all those other young men who are not even in this room. So things that he does, like Ride for Life, teaching young men to ride safely and to wear their helmets like what he did last weekend. He could be doing a lot of other things with his time. He could be traveling, he could be doing all kinds of stuff, but he's trying to make sure that y'all stay on the right track. There's purpose inside of you. So how do you deal with conflict positively? The first thing that you have to walking away, but walking away isn't always easy. And you have to have a reason to walk away. So I want to say this to you. One of the greatest ways to handle conflict is to understand or to begin to focus on what it is you want to do in your life. How many of you know what you want to do? You have an idea. You have an idea what your gift is, you know. You have an idea as to what you're good at. And so you know, I want to be an artist, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a plumber, or I want to be an electrician, whatever it is. You have an idea. And it's fine, you're young. And even if you have an idea now, it might change in a few years. That's fine. But at least have some kind of idea of what you want for yourself. Okay? I'll tell you something about leaders and followers just now. But a good way to deal with conflict, to walk away, and to make sure that you make the right decisions. When you're going through a temporary situation, do not make a permanent decision. Every situation that you go through in your life is temporary. That means it's going to change. The friend that's bullying you right now in school, you're going to outgrow that friend. That friend might drop out just now. That friend might get expelled. You're going to move away from that situation, in other words. Things only last for a moment. The person that's standing up in front of you, threatening you at the moment, is not going to be there in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. So how you deal with that situation in that present moment is going to determine what happens with the rest of your life. Do you understand that? So I can't make a decision that's going to affect the rest of my life negatively just because I'm going through something temporarily. There are some people who are so desperate for money. I want money now. I want money now. I want to buy that scooter now. I want to buy those sneakers now. I want to buy that nice shirt now. I want that Gucci earring now. Because you know everybody has a uniform now in the BVI, right? Everybody has a uniform. You gotta look the same way. Everybody gotta have the same Gucci earring. And I don't get a Gucci earring. and the Gucci chain. I don't get a Gucci earring. I'm sorry. It looks like, you know, the little thing they pull off of the Coca-Cola bottle. It looked like one of those that the paint gray gold and just. But everybody gotta have the Gucci earrings and the Gucci chain and they want it now. So you know what? I see the money that mommy put down there. I steal it. There's a young man right now that I had to get a job for because every Saturday his mother gets a phone call and he gets a threat. You have until the end of the month to buy back my son chain that your son steal from me, or else. I wouldn't tell you what the or else is. So that young man who orchestrated this little robbery and went and stole this young man's Gucci chain, I took him to the Pier Park into one of the jewelry stores so he would understand cost. I said, point out the thickness and the length of the Gucci chain that you stole. And he pointed it out. I asked the guy, I said, how much does that cost? He said, this one is $3,200. He said, what? The young man said, what? Where you gonna get that from? I said, you're gonna work. You're gonna work and you're gonna pay it back. So he has a job now and he has to pay it back just to make sure that nobody breaks into his house and does some stuff to his family. Choices. Stop making bad choices because you want to follow everybody. There's a difference between leaders and followers. A follower is somebody who doesn't even have a plan for their life. Wherever the wind blows, that's where they go. Get up in the morning and you're waiting on your friends to come on Snapchat or to come on Google Chat or to come on WhatsApp. Hey, what we doing today? You don't even know what you're going to do today. You're waiting on your friends to say, what we doing today? That's a follower. The majority of the people in the world are followers. But I want to encourage every one of you that's in this room to be a leader. And it's not hard. Start by making decisions for yourself. Start by learning when to say no. When people encourage you to do something that you know is not right, you don't have to follow. You could stand up and say, no, I'm not doing it. There was a car full of young men, February, going around the roundabout. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, just driving around playing the fool by the roundabout. Police pulled up, pulled the car on the side. There were 2 young men inside there that were simply catching a ride. They weren't telling the driver to do that. They didn't know what was going on in the vehicle. They actually know the young man who was driving the car and just asked, could you drop us home? They had a choice. They could have said, you know what? Put me down here. But they stayed in the vehicle, laughing, clapping, and cheering on the driver. So they pulled over the vehicle, told everybody to come out, started checking the vehicle. First thing that was wrong, the vehicle was stolen. Second thing that was wrong, the license and registration was outdated. Third thing that was wrong, the driver didn't have license and registration and he was underage. Fourth thing that was wrong, they found a bunch of marijuana in the middle console. Whether it was theirs or not, the law says that possession is 9/10 of the law. And because they were driving the vehicle, they were responsible. Fifth thing that was wrong, everybody that was inside there, nobody was saying no. Everybody was culpable, so they were all charged. There's something called joint enterprise, which is Peter pay for Paul. Everybody get the same charge. All of you under arrest. The youngest one in the vehicle was 11. 11 years old and his 14-year-old brother. The 14-year-old brother had a responsibility as the older one to stand up for his younger brother and say, nope, put us down. What if this car swung out of control? What if they had gotten into an accident? What if they crashed into the roundabout? What if something else had happened? He would have been responsible for his little brother. Some of you who are here right now, you have little brothers. You have little sisters. You're responsible for them to a large extent. The decisions that you make, the things that you do, they're looking up to you because you're the older one. You have to make sure that they see you making the right decisions. You know why? Because most times, younger brothers want to be just like you. Younger brothers see you as their hero. Even if y'all might fight a lot, the reason why they fight a lot is because they want to be like you, and you keep pushing them on the side and saying, no, you can't come, or no, you're doing this, no, that. You have to make sure that you're showing them a good example. So I'm encouraging everybody inside here from today to be a leader. You are a leader. Make your own decisions. Do the right thing. Have a plan for your life, or life is going to have a plan for you. You understand what that means? Do you understand what that means? If you don't plan, I talked about the prison. A lot of those guys just used to wake up every morning and just go through the day. They ended up in prison. If you don't have a plan, life has a plan for you. And life's plans ain't always the kind of plan that you want. How many of you in school right now? For those of you who are in school, take it seriously. Do your best. I'm not saying you gotta come home with A's all the time, but try your best. And whatever grade you get, once you tried your best, once you honestly tried your best, then that's good enough. If you need to get some help because you know there's a subject that you're struggling with, talk to your teacher, talk to your parents, talk to somebody and say, listen, I want some help. Take responsibility for this opportunity that you have to get a good education. There are young men that I take with me almost every day to try to get them a job. It's hard to get a job out there right now. It's hard. But you know what? A positive attitude and how you carry yourself speaks volumes. For all those of you who like to walk around with your pants sagging and all this jewelry, all these chains, all these earrings, I'll give you a quick example. Two young men that came out of prison the same time, one 17, one 18. I took both of them one Sunday afternoon to a particular establishment to give them a job interview. One lived Virgin Gorda, and one lived Tortola. I went to the boat to pick up the one who lives Virgin Gorda. I'm wrapping up. He had on a big baggy pants, all the way down to, I can't even say it's his knee. Had on some lugs. You know what lugs are? The lugs boots? Like Timberlands. You know Timberlands? Okay, y'all don't know lugs. Had on some big lugs boots. Had on 2 pairs of earrings on each ear. Had on 4 pairs of chains. Every finger had a ring. I don't know if he was going on a job interview or he was doing a rap video. I said, this is how you go into the job interview? He said, yeah. I said, you sure? He said, yeah. I said, why would you dress like this for a job interview? You know what his answer was? He said, I'm meeting up with my girl after, man. I'm meeting up with my girl after. Drove around, picked up the other guy. I wasn't going to tell him anything. Some lessons they have to learn on their own. Picked up the other guy. The other guy, pants on his waist. The pants was a little too big, but he had on a belt. Pulled the belt, so he saw all the pleats, but he tried. Shirt wasn't ironed the best, but he had on a long sleeve shirt. He had on a tie. I straightened it for him because straightened it for him because it wasn't too straight. All right, got it on. It wasn't too straight. He had a lot of hair on his head, but you know what? He at least combed it out. I saw he put some effort into his appearance. He was serious about getting a job. Here's the funny part. The one who put the effort into his appearance, he had dropped out of high school. He had nothing to carry with him, no resume, nothing. All he had was who he was, what he was going to say, and how he looked. The other guy had his folder because he had 5 CXC subjects. And he was counting on that to speak for him. So we went to the establishment and we had to wait for like an hour because there was a meeting going on. And we didn't get to see the manager, which I wanted, but the manager sent somebody to us. So at least we got through that day. The guy said, okay guys, I got 5 minutes. Tell me why I should hire you. So my boy with all his jewelry and stuff who had his date after, took his file. Well, I have some subjects, and I want to get a job here. You know what the manager did? He gave him back the folder. He didn't even entertain him. He said, you, 2 minutes. Why should I hire you? Well, I really want this job. When could you start? I'm willing to start today. Come tomorrow. You got the job. Boom. True story. On the way back, the guy who had the subjects sucking his teeth, slammed on the folder. Man, life unfair, man. Other guy wasn't saying anything. I know what was going through his mind. He was just excited. He was probably trying to figure out what he was going to wear the next day and all that kinds of stuff. I was so happy for him. I picked him up the next day and took him to the job and stayed with him for a couple hours. But when I dropped him off, I started to talk to the other guy. I said, you said life is unfair. Why you said that? Talking about decision making. He said, I have subjects, he ain't got none. I said, but look at how you came dressed. Does somebody look at you and say, I could trust this person? Does somebody look at you and say, this person could represent my company? Does this person look at you and say, this person is serious about what they do? Some of you walk around and you're a photocopy of everybody else instead of being who you're supposed to be. You're looking at these rappers on TV. You're looking at these people on TikTok. You're looking at all this stuff and you want to be just like them. You think that's it. But people are looking at you and they're judging you and they're looking at you and everybody that you pass, they are making an assessment of you. And you might pass them a certain way today, but you're going to pass them tomorrow and you're going to need the very people that you pass. You have to be careful how you look, how you act, what you say, how you dress. There was an inmate, I used to tell him, stop cussing, stop cussing. Every morning he get up. If the porridge too cold, he cussing. Cussing the officer to the top of his voice where you used to see a vein coming inside his neck. I used to think it would pop. If somebody opened his gate and the gate made noise, he would cuss. If the wind blew too hard from one window to the next side, he would cuss. He would get on. I said, you need to stop cussing and getting on like that every day. You never know who's going to hear you one day. And guess what? So said, so done. One day, the magistrate came to the prison to do a walkthrough. And she's looking around. And lo and behold, from downstairs in the area where he is, you start to hear all the noise, all the cussing, disrespecting the prison officer. She looked over the side. He was inside, so she couldn't see who it was. But she said, who is that? And I told her who it was. She said, oh, he has court tomorrow. He's going to be in front of me tomorrow. I'll see him tomorrow. He went to court the next day, dressed immaculately, nice, tie, everything, looking good because he hoping that the magistrate says, go home. And she says, why should I send you home today? He said, well, I was doing X amount of classes while I was in the prison, and I don't give any trouble, and all kinds of stuff. He's smooth talker. And then she said, Mr. So-and-so, do you know I was up at the prison yesterday? You ever see a red person turn redder? It's like his blood stopped flowing. And she said, I was there and I heard you cursing out the officer. So how could you tell me you are well behaved? It doesn't look like you're ready. And you know what she said to him? I need you to take anger management classes for 6 weeks. And I need a report on that to say you attended. And then I'll make a decision after that. So he kept himself back in prison an extra 6 weeks. That's almost 2 months. Just because he didn't know how to control himself, how to behave, and how to make good decisions. So I'm going to wrap up now. This is what I'm going to say in closing. Every one of you is going to face something in your life that will either make you or break you. The decision that you make will either help you to get to a higher level, or it's going to be a decision that's going to pull you down. I have not always made right decisions in my life. I have not. There are some decisions that I wish I could make over, because you know what? I've made decisions where I've lost a lot of money. I went to Las Vegas. I love the game blackjack. I lost 20,000 US dollars playing blackjack. 20,000. You know why? I took $400, turned that into $7,000, turned $7,000 into $15,000, kept going thinking that I could keep doing that, and then I started losing money. Boop. I said, okay, let me keep going, because the same way I won it first, I could get back. Boop, lose money. Went again, boop, boop, lose money. End up on $0. Now going to the machine. Nope, damn. Taking out money to try to win back what I lost. Then I went into a negative. Decisions. But guess what? There's only one thing in life that you can't get back. The money that you lose, you can make it back. The friends that you lose, you can get back new friends. The girlfriend that Mr. Tittle talked about that your friend take away, you can get another girlfriend. But you know what's the one thing that you can't get back? What's the one thing you can't get back? Time. You cannot get back time. All those people who are in the grave can't get back time. All those people who are in the prison can't get back time. But right now, you have the opportunity to decide what is going to happen with the time that you have. Make the right decisions today so you could enjoy a good life tomorrow. Finish school, get your papers. Don't follow those who, when it's time to be in class, they're hanging around by the tree, or they're hiding in the bathroom, or they're trying to dodge the security officer. I know the things that happen. Spend your time properly today so tomorrow you can smile and say, I made the right decisions. How many of you are going to try your best from today to make good decisions? For the 10 of you, congratulations. For the rest of you, take it seriously. The sad thing is, I do sessions like these, and then when I go back up at the prison, one or two of the guys that I see in the room, I end up seeing them coming through the gate. I pray that that will not be any of your portions. I don't want to see none of you up at the prison. That place ain't for you. The cemetery, that place ain't for you. The jail, the police station, the courthouse, that place ain't for you. Become who you are created to become. Fulfill the purpose that God has placed in your life, and do the best with what you have. God will do the rest. All right? I wish you all the best. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the day.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Large and small corporations in the BVI can't be wrong. Bovi HR, a BVI-based integrated solution of employee timesheets, leave tracking, scheduling, employment letters, HR processes, pay slips, and tax reports, including NHI, Social Security, and Inland Revenue, will make your management of employees easier. While Bovi HR can cater to the needs of larger enterprises, it also works exceptionally well for small companies. To sign up, visit bovihr.com, that is BOVIHR.com, or call us at 342-9686.